Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Let me know when you're here. Let me know when you're here. Let me know when you're back in. We'll give it a little bit of time and give you opportunity to get back online. Get back online. Here we come. Here we come. Here we come. Here we come. Come on in. Come on in. Come in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Yes. I'm here and I'm going to wait for everybody to make it back in. I see you, Jonna. I see your Royal Confessions. I see y'all. Thank you for hanging in there. Absolutely, Rebel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Monica, I see you're back. Michelle, good morning, Michelle. Did you catch me on the round two? Because listen, I done died once and I came back. I've been resurrected. BTD mom is back. I see y'all coming back slowly but surely. We about 15 folks short, but we coming on back. Michelle, you came on part two, baby. Part two gonna catch you. We had a good one going, and we gonna pick it right back up from where we were. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, 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 yes. Now we coming on in. We coming on in. The Royals said no, ma'am. Listen, they done come all the way from the UK. Thank you, Joanna. I'm glad we back on Facebook. Thank you. So I got Facebook in the house. I got Twitch in the house. Let's get this multi-stream back. Let's get that multi-stream back. We should have Facebook coming back. Anybody on Facebook? Anybody on Facebook? Teresa, I'm glad to see you, sis. Thank you for liking the stream. YouTube is back. Is everybody back? Am I back? Am I back? In all, if I got my main three, we gonna roll. I see a Facebook, I see a YouTube, and I got Twitch. Okay, we ready to go. Yes, they done come all the way from the UK and shut my stream down. No, I'm playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. At the end of the day, I'm telling the truth. No, y'all know this is Yes You O Cube, one-on-one, just me and you. And yes, we take our coffee, no cream, no sugar. We take our coffee strong and black, because I tell it like it T-I-Z-Tiz. Yes, I do. And I'm so glad you came back. Thank you for those that came back. We're still missing several. I hope they're going to make it back, but if they don't, I appreciate the time they were with us on the first half this morning. Now, you know, I said y'all saw me post up there. Listen, could it be? Could it be? The devil? Ain't nothing but that old. Oh man, it done knock my whole system out here. That's okay. I'm gonna do it the old school way, since I get my controls are still out, y'all. But that's okay. I know how to do it old school. Ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. It was a royal devil. Monica, let me tell you what. It was a royal devil, and the royal devil. You know what they said? They done caught on to us. They said an heir and a spare. Thank you for sharing the stream, and thank you for liking it. They said that Monica L. Smith over there talking about an heir and a spare. Shut it down. Shut her down. How dare you expose an heir and a spare? Yeah, that's what Diana had. So at the end of the day, I look at the whole scenario and, I got to remember, I got to manually do this because my controls are still knocked out. So at the end of the day, when I look at it, y'all, yes, they done got them some and they said, let me have it. They gonna let you have it. So at the end of the day, I do want to acknowledge, and I'm going back to where I was, when you can begin to identify that there are things that are taking you down, and don't be ashamed. I'm gonna close out on this one with this idea because I'm gonna move on. Let me see what my time is saying. I'm a little bit after 8. Thank you all for coming back. I see you coming back one by one and name by name. I want to say thank you for making it back to the stream. Ultimately, as I was saying, if you find yourself in any kind of an abusive situation, I don't care who it is, and whether y'all want to admit it or not, it's abuse in the church. Not only mentally, emotionally, physically, I mean, every way that you can think of, it's abuse in the church. There's abuse in all areas of life and living. If you find yourself, and I'm not even going to say a victim, but a party to, because this is the thing, and the reason why I'm going to reframe and not call you a victim, and yes, I've been there myself, is that it's not my problem, it's theirs. It's not my sickness, it's theirs. It's not my issue, it's theirs. And a lot of times when we get into that victim mentality and victimized and victimization, we can get stuck in a place that causes us to self-destruct instead of rise above. But I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. That's the way I see it. I am not a victim, I'm a victor. Are you Tim or Tor? Are you Tim or Tor? Where are you at with your Vic? Are you Tim or Tor? I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. So I want you all to have that kind of mentality. If you find yourself in a position like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, get yourself out of there. Do whatever you need to do to have your sanity. He brings up the point Harry did about feeling trapped and being trapped. And so if you all remember, Oprah looked a little puzzled and she said, but you talking about living and being born into royalty. You're talking about all kinds of riches and wealth. You're talking about all kinds of prestige and honor. How can you feel trapped? And this is what we've got to pay attention to. Your position and status and station in life. Sometimes we're looking at people and we think, baby, they got it all, and they feel and are trapped. Don't be deceived by the outer trappings of what your eyes may see and what you perceive. Some of the folks that look like, oh my God, she's got it all together, he's got it all together, they're the most handsome, the most beautiful, the most whatever you want to put in there, and put those superlatives on top of it. Sometimes those are the people that are suffering the most in silence. And the reason why people won't believe it is because it looks a certain way on the outside. But baby, oh baby, if you could just get inside of there and see what's going on. Isn't that what my baby said? What's going on? If you could really see what's going on the inside. Oh yeah, Michelle, that's a lesson in and of itself. The reality that everything is not the way it appears, and everything that glitters is not gold. And some of y'all running after that gold, and it's fool's gold. Literally and figuratively, it's fool's gold. So at the end of the day, y'all, I appreciate Meghan and Harry for having the boldness to come out and speak their truth and speak it boldly and yet with kindness and with love, to cover folks' identities, to cover a lot of different areas that they could have been mean and ugly and come out in a totally different mindset. So my kudos is to them as well for being bold enough and strong enough to tell their story. Now let's learn from it, y'all. Let's learn from it. Can we? Let us learn from it. So as we come into today's topic, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into it because I do want to take some time to really, come on, Monica, thank you. Well, listen, we're gonna applaud that. Anytime y'all tell me to applaud, we're gonna applaud. It is worthy of applause, and I appreciate them for having the courage, your mental health patients and abuse patients were wives of athletes and doctors, had it all but didn't. Oh, listen, I know what you're saying, and I can speak firsthand on that because I did have a friend that was married to a professional athlete, and she got abused on a regular, and I mean seriously abused. And the police, when the police were called, and I was there, y'all, I'm standing there with the sister. This brother has beat her to a pulp to the extent he ripped the cup of her bra was actually ripped out off, and she had one breast hanging out as we stood there. And when the police got there, they started asking this joker for his autograph, and no charges were filed. So listen, I'm gonna tell you, at the end of the day, you are speaking exactly the truth. And listen, at that point, yes, she had a Porsche, she had a BMW, she had a Mercedes convertible coupe with the lift-off top, she had a husband with the Silverado and everything else. But what she had was 2 black eyes, a beat-up body, and an abused relationship. So listen, don't everything that glitters ain't gold, y'all. Everything that glitters is not gold. And it took years of that abuse for her to finally come to her senses and get away. Now, as we go into, that's a true story. Ain't no that's a true story. I lived that with my friend as she walked that journey out. And the good side of that story, relocated, found an awesome guy, got married, had children, and she kept trying to get pregnant in the first relationship with the sports star. And yes, he was an all-pro baller. He wasn't nothing to sit on the bench. This was big time. But could not get pregnant with him, and even if she had been, he would have beat it out of her. Got remarried, had a beautiful family that she was able to have with that other beloved. I'm telling y'all, sometimes you need to do like Abraham. Get the of the Chaldeans. It's time to get your stuff, your bags, and your anything attached to you and get out of Dodge, because there's something better waiting on you. Now, my word of the day, and I want to cover this. My word of the day today is patriarchy. We are in the middle of Women's Month, celebrating women and all that we bring to the table. And it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. I wanted to stop here and talk because I said it earlier, even when I was talking about whether it's this idea that HRH, Her Royal Highness, His Royal Highness, as the code that the UK lives by. In our country is just straight up wealthy people that we seem to treat them as if they are HRH. But at the end of the day, at the top of many of these issues, and even the fact that Queen Elizabeth is a monarch, she's only a queen because of the lineage of her father, because she's still in the patriarchal system. So I wanted to talk today about patriarchy and the fact that patriarchy needs to die. It needs to die. It needs to die. And as we come into this season of women's honoring and appreciation for what we bring to the table, I'm going to talk today, and please understand, I have no hatred, I have no anger, I have no kind of negativity towards my brothers. I love them and I appreciate them for who they are. I'm so glad that my sire, King Coogee, is on here. I'm so glad when Bishop Ronald B. Andrews comes on. I'm so glad when Main Man gets on. Because listen, it's not just about women. She's only got that because her uncle said, no ma'am. Exactly. Uncle David from the beginning was like, I don't want the crown. And even that revolved around the fact of who he loved. And because she was a divorcee, she was considered unfit to be royalty as a queen. And he's like, listen, I'm going to take my love over this crown. And listen, at the end of the day, the cross of love is greater than any crown you can put on my head. So he abdicated the throne. It went to her father, and then when her father passed away, all he had as far as children, thank you for liking the stream, Anita Harvey, all he had were daughters. So this whole system that we've seen for years and years and years, I want to talk about that a little bit on today, because listen, at this point, I want to see and need to see a world where everybody is valued equally. Nobody is greater than, nobody is less than. And hear me when I say, even though I say stuff like that and people say, yeah, we still have this tremendous system of patriarchy that still exists and dominates our way of life and living. I can say, as a Black person, as a Black woman, and as a Black woman clergy, patriarchy is unfortunately rampant yet in this world. So as we go and as we grow, I wish that we would come on into the progressive area of going back. Now we talk about, I'm gonna come from a spiritual biblical concept, but I'm gonna be kind of going back and forth, because and understand, even when I say that, I understand that some of this patriarchy has been propagated by what we consider to be Holy Writ. Whether it's the Bible, for the Muslims, for all of the Abrahamic faiths. So you got Christianity, that's an Abrahamic faith. If you look at Judaism, that's an Abrahamic faith. If you look at Islam, all three of those are Abrahamic faiths. So out of that Abrahamic faith and that mentality, we come up with a strong adherence to patriarchy. Now, let me deal with some areas and issues. I was even one day, and some of you may remember, we were teaching, we have a Bible study on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock, me and my bootleg sisters, and they are something to be reckoned with. They do a beautiful, beautiful job of teaching from the scripture. Now, somebody came on my show, on my platform, in my Bible study, and commenced to telling me to shut up because a woman will not teach and exert authority over a man. I said, sir, you on my stream. What's going on here? You on my platform. How you gonna come on my platform and then tell me to hush because I don't have authority to speak? Oh yeah, Michelle. Yes, he did. I got some witnesses out there that was in that podcast that can tell you this brother had he had the nerve. He had the pinched nerve to come up in my podcast and tell me to shut up because I did not have authority to speak and teach over a man. So, I had to stop for a second and deal with that because I couldn't just let it float, because he was, yes, Jonna, all thumbs down. He was chatting and just chattering away, and then went over and got the Paulina epistles and started reading out of there and what Paul said. Listen, at the end of the day, there is a back button, bye. Yes, Johnny, he had a pinched nerve. He had a pinched nerve, baby. He got his whole hind parts and his pinched nerve and got on my podcast, my Bible study, and told me I was out of order because it's not right for a woman to teach a man. So I had to school him real fast and then go back to my teaching because he wasn't going to get all my energy. His pinched nerve was not going to get all of my energy, but I did have to address it. Now, he felt completely justified and right from his perspective of reading the Holy Writ, because the Holy Writ espouses, and that's an erroneous thought, but it's an erroneous thought that is propagated, espouses to patriarchy. So let's look at this. When Adam and Eve, and I go back to this concept again, Adam is mankind, it is not man. It is not the male species. Adam in the Bible, when we read it in Genesis, is actually referring to humanity at large. Now, let's go back to that from the beginning. And God gave them, T-H-E-M, he gave them dominion. And so this is the place that I want us, and I'm not trying to necessarily teach a lesson from the Bible, but I am addressing it because this mindset is so prevalent in the United States of America, where we continue to propagate this idea and this concept and not just Christianity, but what did I say? All of the Abrahamic faiths and some other faith traditions also espouse to this idea of women being less than. I got to deal with this head on because it's confusion in every evil work. God gave them dominion together. And this is the thing that I say for all of the Abrahamic faiths that teach some level of restoration. They teach some level of redemption and salvation. It's interesting to me how salvation and redemption speaks to every area for man, but limited areas for women. I'm going to say that again. That redemption, that salvation, it speaks to everything being redeemed and taken back in atonement as if there was no issue like it was in the beginning in the garden before there was sin. All of that is restored to men, but to women, it's not. Because why am I saying that, spiritual thought leader? Because as you all teach the story, it was after the fall of humanity that we see, come on, Sheila. It was after the fall of humanity that we see this alleged curse being put on the woman, that you are going to be, if I can use it in my terms, second class and second rate and subjected to this man. That was not the way woman was created. That was what came to be in the way that y'all teach it. And I take issue with that, but I'm going to say again, in the way that y'all teach it, that came into existence. So then my question is, if atonement brings mankind back as if nothing ever happened. Come on, Barbara. I love you, sis. I'm trying to teach this thing, and thank you for your support, because there's a lot of folk that are going to be mad, upset, and angry with me because of what I'm teaching today about patriarchy. In the original state, mankind, both male and female, had dominion together equally. And I'm going to say it again. How is it that the atonement that we teach in all of these religions brings the male species back to full atonement as if nothing ever happened, but the woman is still left under a curse? That's a lie straight from... You know what? I started to pull out could it be, but I'm on my teaching side, so I'm going to just keep teaching. But could it be? Could it be? Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling, because at the end of the devil day, it ain't nothing but that old slimy devil that continues to propagate this idea. And why is that idea propagated? Control. It ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. It's all about control and who's going to be in control. So I want to challenge you on a few points here, because let's look at this more closely. First and foremost, who were the first for the salvation story to get to the tomb and see Jesus first? None other than the women. Who was the first to carry Jesus and handle him and birth him from her womb? None other than Mary. And man, as far as male gender, had nothing to do with it. So at the end of the day, and even that, we'd have to go back to the lineage, and this is where we see the interesting element of patriarchy. The lineage is run through Joseph, but Joseph didn't have anything to do with Jesus being born. Y'all ain't ready for me. Joseph didn't have anything to do with Jesus being born. That was between Mary and God and the act of the Holy Ghost. If you're going to teach the virgin story, teach it right. So at the end of the day, yet and still, we have to go back to the story as told from a position of patriarchy, and we go back and we trace the lineage of Joseph, even though Mary and Joseph were of the same lineage. But I'm just addressing patriarchy. Who is it that we want to highlight? Who is it that we want to talk about? Because we're operating from this delusional concept that man must be in dominance and control. But the story that the Holy Spirit is constantly teaching us is that it ain't about you. Y'all ain't ready for me. The Holy Spirit's overshadowing of Mary if anything, restores her back to a state of equality. And I'm saying equality, I could say superseding, but I'm not trying to be one up and one down. That's not the place that I'm coming from. But I'm saying, if I look at it from the spiritual standpoint in my eyes, I'm saying when the Holy Ghost said, I'm gonna bypass man altogether and I'm gonna go straight to the woman to bring salvation to the world, all of this negativism, and as Carlton Pearson often says, it's man with a womb. It's man with, woman is man with a womb. And unfortunately, that womb bought wound, W-O-N-D. That womb bought wound, W-O-U-N-D. Because that womb, W-O-M-B, was looked upon as evil and negative because we're coming from a space and place of patriarchy for those that misinterpreted the move in the mind and the will of God, and that's the interpretation that you walked away with. And I'm telling you, even from the beginning, God had a protection for women. And again, this is Women's History Month, so I'm gonna go back and get some history and talk about it. It ain't what y'all want to talk about and the way you want to talk about it, but let me break it down for you. So at the end of the day, y'all remember, after all of this transition is going on, now I'm gonna show you how patriarchy works. So we have this that's espoused, and there are a lot of men that say, listen, women are the evil and the downfall while we're in the situation that we're in. False, 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 because at the end of the day, Eve did not make Adam do anything Adam didn't want to do. So come on with that. So leave that alone. But even when you get down to it, let's deal with some issues of how we've taken that interpretation and run with it just as twisted can be. Look at when we go through all of the, what y'all call the curses that are going on. And then he says, for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to a wife. Now let's deal with that. Let's just deal with that. Let's go to the tribal concept of, he didn't tell, and this is, I'm trying to teach y'all how flipped this script got. I want you to notice, he didn't tell the woman to leave her family and go with the husband, which is currently how we teach it. He told the man, he said, for this cause shall a man, am I making this up? For this cause shall a man leave his wife, his father and mother, and cleave to his wife. So what we see even in the early tribalism was a matriarchal system. And if you go back in history and study history, the earliest systems were matriarchal. They were not patriarchal. And look at what he did. And let's pay attention to that. Now, I'm gonna say it one more time because y'all can go back and find it. Listen, Bishop, I'm so glad you're here, Bishop. I'm so glad you're here. So this is what I want you to understand. Why would he say to the man, you leave your father and mother and go and cleave to this wife? Because then it becomes a matriarchal system and the wife is protected, because no man is going to leave his father and mother and then come into a tribe where her parents are there and abuse her. They're not gonna come in. Come on, I'm not making it up, Michelle. I'm telling you like it T-I-Z-Tiz. I'm telling you like it T-I-Z-Tiz. Listen, get your coffee cups out, because no cream, no sugar. We take this coffee strong and black. I'm telling you like it T-I-Z-Tiz. Now look at the difference of when God said, even if we want to deal with that, when God said, I want you, man, I'm talking about male gender, you leave your people and you go live with her people and her tribe, because that's for her protection. That's for her protection. You're not going to mistreat her. You're not going to talk crazy to her. You're not going to put your hands on her when you are in her tribe. And for this reason, I want you to leave your mama, leave your father, and you go with her family and cleave to your wife. Now that's the book all day long for everybody that's mad about it. I know by the time we got it in the New Testament and definitely in evangelical teaching, we had that woman subjected to her husband and everything was about him and nothing was about her, even and up to the extent of abuse and mistreatment. So when we get to the maltreatment of that, let's go all the way back. And I said this, if we're going to talk about the atonement should have taken us all the way back to the beginning as it was before it ever happened, where we really don't have to talk about, I'm going to, because man wasn't thinking about putting his hands on a woman before the fall. And woman wasn't thinking about putting her hands on a man before the fall. I'm talking about in violence. When we say, you're going to catch these hands, that's what I'm talking about. There wasn't no catching nobody's hands in the beginning, because we had love one for and toward another. And that included for the environment, and that included even for the animals that we had dominion over. But at the end of the day, that's how we can get so twisted, where by the time we get to by the time we get to, I'm not even gonna say the New Testament, by the time we get to the relationship in the Old Testament, we're looking at men. Now check this out. When we get this system twisted, and we're no longer matriarchal or matriarchal in our endeavors the way God said it. And again, that was only after the fall. I'm not trying to say that's the way God wanted it. God planned for there to be total equality the whole time. But even after the fall, God protected the woman, and we didn't honor that. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling, but I'm telling the truth. I'm telling you, no cream, no sugar. We taking this coffee strong and black, because I'm telling you like it Tiz. The whole idea of a matriarchal setup was to protect women from being abused by men. Y'all better listen to me. So when we get to this, come on, Monica, I'm telling it like it Tiz. So when we get down to it, by the time we see them starting to shift towards this patriarchy, listen to this. A man could have all the women that he wanted to take as wives, and it was okay. But the wives could only have one husband. Now y'all know it's jacked up already. It's jacked up. It's toe up from the floor up. And wouldn't men love it so? Because women were considered like chattel, just like slaves were considered chattel to the slave owners, because they were considered less than. Because we've gotten into this anger, we've gotten into this animosity, we've gotten into this negative head space that women, we wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for the women. And then we start teaching all of this division and separation to the point that we finally get to the reality that man takes on an anger to such a level in his patriarchy that woman becomes nothing less or nothing more than chattel and ownership material, not a human being as an equal. And as a matter of fact, I want 15 of y'all in my harem, but you bet not look at another man or you've committed adultery. What? What are we doing? And listen, y'all ain't gonna buy what I'm selling, but I'm telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's why, listen, you can have an individual, you can have these brothers, they can go out and have all the women in the church that they want to have, but don't let a woman be caught with somebody outside of the realm of, and she's every kind of negative word under the sun. And then when we look at the brother, we be like, oh, you know, they gonna sow they wild oats in the church. Because we still have this whole concept of patriarchy that is dominating us, and we have that mentality that women ain't nothing. But I need y'all to bring that into juxtaposition with slavery. The same way the slave owners thought that the slaves weren't nothing, that's the same way men in patriarchal systems have a tendency to treat and talk and think about women. And patriarchy has got to go. We're not your chattel. We're not your cattle. We're not your workhorse. We're not the ones to make it happen while you kick back in your flowery beds of ease and look at how many folk you can get up in your harem and how many places you can plant your seed in how many fertile grounds and take care of none of them and keep right on about your business. But the fertile ground that you're impregnating gets talked about like a dog. If you come to the church and the sister is pregnant, the sister's got to come to the front and repent and ask the church to forgive her. But the husband or the father, the father rather, not normally the husband, but the father in that situation, we're talking about being pregnant out of wedlock, who might just be the pastor, they have nothing to say. Listen, this is another lesson, but I had to apologize for getting pregnant, but the guy sitting in the audience was looking at you, Michelle. You understand what I'm saying? Patriarchy. Patriarchy at its finest. Because the woman carries the whole blunt of blame, just like Adam. The woman you gave me. I'm going to blame the woman you gave me. And then if there's a teaching that gets sitting right there in the pews untouched. You hear what I'm saying? Because the woman you gave me is who I'm going to blame. But if you really look at that, the man is actually blaming God in the you gave me. If you hadn't given her to me, I'd be okay today. Johnny, you witnessed that more than a few times, as we all have. So at the end of the day, we see this system of twisted patriarchy that is continuing to plague us. And unfortunately, let me break this down in the black community. Where other communities are coming up, we still have black men who want and refuse to move from patriarchy and want to continue to hold our black women as less than, and we're not having it. I am a lion, and you're going to hear me roar. No, no, and no again. And it's not scriptural. So here we see again, and listen, Michelle, you bring up the very point of the woman that was taken in the act of adultery. Now, if she was in the act, somebody else was there getting busy with her. She was not bumping uglies by herself. So when we get all said and done, how is it that we get here and there's only a woman standing here? And somebody said, when Jesus came and said, "He that's without sin, let him cast the first stone," that probably the person that she was caught in the very act with was probably standing there with a stone. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling. No cream, no sugar. I'm telling it like it tis. We take this coffee strong and black. Because at the end of the day, the system of patriarchy leans toward the idea that the man is in charge and the woman, who is the reason for any weakness and downfall that he has, is less than. And if we do not challenge this system and mindset of patriarchy and continue to allow it to exist, and I said this before, I said it in a post, the church that I hail from still operates in patriarchy. You still can't get in the pulpit. You still can't teach. You still can't preach. Even though Mary carried Jesus for 9 months by herself. Mary pushed him out by herself. Mary was impregnated by no man that walked on 2 legs. Mary was the first evangelist to carry the word, the living, literal word of God. And then when he was risen, y'all better call Tyrone. And then when afterwards he was risen from the dead, who was the first to carry the truth of the gospel that he is risen? None other than women, because the men were someplace hiding. I'm trying to get you to another mindset, because all of this is reflected and told in the Holy Scriptures, where y'all want to go there to show you all that this concept that you're teaching is not right. In the last days, says God, I will pour out my spirit on all, A-L-L, flesh, your sons and your daughters Why? Because we're taking this back to the age of God, where the age of God, God is love, is at the very beginning, as if all of this insanity of sin and degradation never happened. And that place of existence includes your sons and your daughters. It is not patriarchy. Oh, I'm talking real good right now. I'm telling it like it T-I-Z-tis. This is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So when you look at, well, Regina, you try to make it sound like, listen, I'm not trying to make it sound like anything. I'm telling you, track the scriptures, track the teaching. So like I said, you can talk all day long and talk about Paul said it's you can't usurp authority. I'm not usurping authority. I'm operating into the authority that God gave me. His sons and his daughters, which includes me. I'm prophesying. I'm walking in the authority that he gave me from the beginning, and was only polluted and diluted after the fall. And I'm gonna say again, I don't believe God polluted and diluted it. I think man did. So at the end of the day, when you get finished with all of that and patriarchy takes charge and takes hold, now we got this skewed mindset and this skewed teaching that has an idea that women are less than. And I'm here to tell every man under the sound of my voice and every woman under the sound of my voice, women are not less than any man walking on the face of this earth. It's not so. I need y'all to hear me. So even in the church where I hail from, and I can't stand in your pulpit, and it's not the only one, but I can testify, listen, you better not put your corn or your bunion, you better not lift it like you getting ready to raise it and put it up in a pulpit, because patriarchy says it's for an anointed man. I don't care how many folk he done slept with. I don't care how many children he got out of wedlock. I said bedlock, but it's all the same. I don't care how all of this go. Where's Mr. Reynolds? Y'all bring whoever needs to come. Whosoever will, let him come, because I'm teaching on patriarchy today. It's not so. So then you get this idea and this attitude that's derogatory toward women. Lord, lift us up where we belong. Listen, they can cut me off. I'm coming back. So at the end of the day, I need y'all to come out of this mindset of patriarchy. Like this is what God said. It's not what God said. It's what man said and then put God in it. Because from the beginning, it was not so. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling, but I'm telling you like it T-I-Z-tis. So when we get that, that's what I said, Jonna. That's exactly what it is. So when we get to this whole mindset of patriarchy and order, and this is the way it has to be, and this is what God said, and when you set it up some kind of other way, you're moving against God, and God didn't say it. Look at what he did in the beginning. Look what he did even after the fall to put in that the woman would be protected. For this reason shall a man leave his tribe, his father, his mother, and cleave to his wife and go where she is. But y'all ain't doing that today. Matter of fact, when we give you the vows to repeat, we repeat it the way that we want it done. For this cause shall a woman. No, he didn't say nothing about a woman leaving her father and her mother and cleaving to this man. It's the exact opposite of what he said. And again, to protect her from the abusive behaviors of men, because God already knew after the fall, he already knew man was going to be upset, uptight, mad, and angry. And that this whole system of the woman being protected, if he did not put it in motion from the beginning after after the fall, if he did not put it in motion, he already knew that angry, ugly men who set up patriarchy were going to abuse women, and y'all ain't buying what I'm selling. But listen, I'm telling you, this is coffee with no cream, no sugar. I'm taking and giving you this coffee black because I'm telling you like it T-I-Z-Tiz. Listen, God knew that if he didn't tell the man to leave your mama, your daddy, and your tribe and go cleave to your wife where she is, he knew that patriarchy was going to beat her down. Come on, you done burnt up your food? Lord Jesus. But I'm telling it like a T-I-Z-Tiz. I want you all to see these truths, and I want you to see how these truths got twisted. And oh yeah, do you not think as we come out with this patriarchal system, don't you think them men was feeling good? I can have as many wives as I want to, but women who ain't even considered human beings, you can only have me and me alone? What kind of mess is that? They came out years ago. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I bet some woman came out with that because she was sick of patriarchy telling her he can go out and do whatever he wants to do, but you cannot do a thing because you're a woman. Come on, y'all better drink that coffee, get your cups out, because I'm telling it like a T-I-Z-Tiz. God, even after the fall, he covered her by telling the man to leave his family and go to hers. And did we not turn that thing on its ear and make it the exact opposite so that we could establish patriarchy? So then I look at churches, 99% women, but churches that believe in patriarchy. Matter of fact, the women probably started that fellowship in that church. Especially back in the day, women would start a prayer meeting. Out of that prayer meeting, people would start coming. Church would start growing. As soon as the church is established and it has the ability to have some substance and some value, I need a man to come pastor this church. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling. But at the end of the day, no cream, no sugar. I'm telling it, I'm giving you this coffee, strong and black, because I'm telling it like it T-I-Z-Tiz. Please understand when I say this, I'm not mad at men. I'm not angry at brothers. I'm just saying enough is enough and too much is too much. And this whole system of patriarchy that you have put in place is not of God. I don't care how you preach it. I don't care how you reach it, it's not of God. So we see what happens when patriarchy is put in place. Give me all the women I can have, and they'll all be my wife. And this is the thing, even when I get tired of having a wife, I got 300 wives, or was it 700 wives, and then when I get tired of wives, then bring me some concubines. 700 wives and 300 concubines, 1,000 women in my harem, and each of those women can only have one man. Now, y'all, if you can't, what kind of mess is that? And y'all preach that mess, and y'all teach that mess like that's what God wanted. God wanted it that way. No, and no again. And if you can't identify the difference between man in his flesh comes up with his own rules, regulations, and ordinances, and God speaking to somebody, thank you for liking the stream, Nathan. If you can't tell the difference between God and man, I need you to go back and get another dip. 700 wives and 300 concubines, but the woman can only have one man? And you treating them 700 wives and those 300 concubines like they're animals? Like they're nothing more than chattel? Oh, no. And you want me to believe, even as the brother that came on my podcast in my Bible study and told me to be silent and kept putting it in there, be silent, be quiet. Be quiet. You're out of order. God said for women that you can't teach a man. Sit down somewhere, because your ignorance needs to be taught something, because you're showing your ignorance. So at the end of the day, patriarchy needs to be dealt with. When you go into the CEO of corporate America, and all the CEOs are men, and then even if you bring a woman into an executive position, why, oh why, is she only making a fraction of what you're getting paid? Why in the sports arena do women only get paid a fraction? Listen, if it wasn't for Venus and Serena, y'all better ask somebody. If it wasn't for Venus and Serena making tennis a whole nother sport, if it wasn't for Venus and Serena making it where people wanted to come, everybody, royalty, stars, everybody wanted to come and see those two girls play. If it wasn't for them raising the bar and the standard of tennis, but y'all don't want to pay them a full purse. Because patriarchy is killing the women. And then we got women. Can I be truthful? Can I be real? You got women who genuinely believe, because this is the way they've been indoctrinated. Just like I told y'all about suffering. They keep teaching you this is a suffering way. This is a suffering way. And then you want to tell me, but you're a woman, and this is what God told you you could do. And this is what God told you you could. God didn't tell me that. And you're not going to get me to buy into my own oppression. What are you doing? And I've got to tell you, some of my most vehement arguments about me being called to the ministry didn't come from men, even though I know there was a lot of men thinking it. But my most vehement arguments come from women telling me who I'm not and what I cannot do. Because I am a woman. Because I am a woman, I can do it all. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling, but I'm trying to tell you like it T-I-Z-Tis. Patriarchy is stifling and killing us, and I will not buy into it any longer. I stopped it a long time ago, in case you didn't know. But I've come to expose it for what it is. It's off, and very off. So at the end of the day, for those that are trying to, it's almost like those slaves that are telling the other slaves, don't leave the plantation, don't run off. Massa been good to us. Massa been good to us. Men been good to us. They let us have some food. They let us have some water. They let us go out in the field and pick that cotton. They let us have their babies. They let us do all these things. And I'm not trying to be a women's liber. I'm trying to, but it is liberation for the women. I'm trying to tell you how off this patriarchy is, and this patriarchal system is completely to the left, and it cannot continue. This is 2021. Either straighten up and fly right, or figure it out and get lost. But we will not continue to bow, break, and bend to this patriarchal system. Am I talking to anybody? So at the end of the day, and I know, listen, I'm not oblivious to the fact that my numbers keep dropping and dropping and dropping the more I say. I don't care, because if you can't hear it and you can't take it, it's okay. But at the end of the day, for those that are remaining and that can hear what I'm saying, I promise you, I'm giving you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And there has to come a voice crying out, even in all of these different places, and saying this is not right, and stop blaming it on God, because God did not say it. Man did. Whew. Am I talking to anybody? So we get words like hysterical. Oh, she's being hysterical. Now, hyster, the same root that you get from hysterectomy. Because when you want to talk about people just being so out of control, and all off their rocker. Even what Meghan has had to fight, even what Princess Diana had to fight. We want to say that they're hysterical because hyster, all of that implicating a woman. Well, I contend that some of them are mascarical. You heard what I said, mascarical, not hysterical, mascarical. Because some of these men can be more hysterical than a woman. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling. But these words, I'm wanting you to look at the words and where the words derive from and the negativity that comes with that word in which it's derived from and has a negative connotation, and it has a direct reflection on our gender, because at the end of the day, you want women to feel less than. Yes, royal confession. She has ovaries. That's why we overact. Come on. At the end of the day, all of these different... So we look at all those connotations of negativity that we want to attach to the women to make women look, appear, and sound less than. Lie, lie, and lie again. You are a liar. God didn't say that. And that was not what he felt toward women. Am I talking to anybody in here? So I want us to begin to understand the devastation that patriarchy continues to have on us. And I said this even in this is an election year for the church that I come from. And I said, you mean to tell me in all these 100+ years, there's no woman in sight that had the ability to lead this great church ever? You want me to believe that of all of these people that have been saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost, that there's no woman, just because we're in a patriarchal system, there's no woman ever that has been capable, able-bodied, and spiritual enough to lead this great church just because of patriarchy? No! I'm not buying what you're selling. No, I'm not buying. We built this church. And I'm going to say it again, juxtaposition. I want you to keep doing the juxtaposition. Just like they say to Black Americans, well, y'all can leave it. If you don't like it, leave and go to another country. Just like we say, we built this country. Why would we leave it? And I look at other systems and say, we built this church. Why would we leave it? We fund this church. Why would we leave it? We fund this government. Why would we leave it? We teach these schools. Why would we leave it? And why would you make and insist that I be less than just because I am a woman? Even the idea, we'll pay the doctors and give them all kinds of money. And they make way more money than their counterpart nurses. But 9 times out of the 10, it's the nurses that are doing all the work. But nursing has predominantly been driven and grown by women. And so we do not see equal worth in a woman that I see in a male-dominated occupation. Oh, y'all don't have to buy what I'm selling, but I'm telling you. So as we get to this place, that's it, royal confession. Take your emotions out of it. This is the way God made us. And we're not overreacting. We're not overacting. We're not hysterical. The implication of that word, the way in which you use it to tear women down. No, ma'am. No, sir. This ain't the way. This ain't the way. This ain't the way. And it needs to stop. It needs to be called out. It needs to be identified. I I've seen folks in leadership just because of patriarchy that are dumb as a box of rocks, and you got women in there that can run circles 1,000 times around that person they put in leadership. But the issue is patriarchy. Statistics tell us that, y'all ain't gonna like this, but I'm gonna tell it like it tis. No cream, no sugar. I'm gonna take this coffee strong and black because I'm about to tell you like it tis. Hillary Clinton beat Trump by over 3 million plus votes in the popular vote. But because white old men did not want to lose authority and position of patriarchy in this system, and they were not ready for a female to be commander-in-chief, even though she had over 3 million plus more votes. We got what we got for 4 years that pretty near took us out because of patriarchy. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling. That part. Oh yeah, go back and do the count. Go back and look at it. 3 million plus votes, and she really could have come out talking about stop the steal. But at the end of the day, we know what the real issue was. We're not ready for a woman commander-in-chief, says the power status quo. And even when I listen to these other denominations and faith, well, we're progressively moving there. What do you mean you're progressively moving there? How do you progressively get to equality? Either you're equal or you're not. That's code for we gonna take our time because we really don't want it. And one day when we finally don't have any other choice and enough of y'all walk out, you vote with your feet. When enough of y'all do that, then we'll think about it. But at the end of the day, the issue, even with Kamala Harris, not only as a woman, but as a black woman, what was the constant thing we heard echoed from the people over and over again? Biden, if something happens to him, she's going to be the president of the United States. That's what so many people that claim they're not racist, that's what so many people voted for Trump for, because they would not embrace the idea that a black woman could be the first president of the United States. And at the end of the day, we've got Trump trying to get his daughter prepared to potentially run somewhere down. But listen, at the end of the day, they still don't really want women, and they sure don't want a black woman. Y'all not buying what I'm saying. But because patriarchy has so twisted and turned. But my challenge, half God said it, half God said it, no, he did not. What we see, and I'm gonna go back again, first and foremost, he created them equally, and he gave them dominion together. But then even after the fall, he attempted to protect the woman from the man by saying to the man, you leave your father, you leave your mother, and you be enjoined to her tribe and her family and cleave to her. That was protection. But we not only stripped her of her personage as a human being, we also stripped her of her protection, and her womb, W-O-M-B, now became a place to wound, W-O-U-N-D. And we see rape all the way back in Genesis, because this womb, W-O-M-B, is now a place that I can wound, W-O-U-N-D, because you ain't nothing but a woman. Am I talking to anybody up in here? And we continue to take those men, woman, W-O-M-A-N, that we say W-O-M-B-M-A-N. We take the womb man and continue to wound, WOUND, her with patriarchy. And I'm going to say it once more and again, and I'm out of here. This is 2021. So am I surprised that God took the womb man and bypassed the man and impregnated her with the Son of God that she would carry exclusively for 9 months? Am I surprised that the first people to see Jesus after he had risen were women? Am I surprised that they were the first to run and really be evangelists and tell the story? He is risen. Am I surprised? Woman after woman after woman after woman. No, I'm not. Because by the Spirit and the power of the Holy Ghost, the Spirit of God was saying, and this wrongful subjection of women, it was not so from the beginning. And why do we continue to teach it now? Am I talking to anybody? Well, I think I've said enough. I think I've said enough. And yes, Jams, this pride, P-R-I-D, of lions is relentless. And you're going to hear us roar. And I'm like this. If you continue on in your system of patriarchy, which is wounding, W-O-U-N-D, the womb, W-O-M-B, you can preach all day long, but God ain't in that. Love ain't in that. The Spirit of Christ ain't in that. If you can continue to teach and preach the wounding of the womb, I can't stand with your gospel. I can't stand with your philosophy. I can't stand with your theology. I can't stand with the way that you operate. And all of it's not just church. I'm talking about in all of our systems that have taken on this mindset and this belief system and propagated it and continue to propagate it. I can't stand with you. I can love you, but I can't. You lose me right there. Because the wounding of our womb, otherwise known as women. I'm going to say it again. The wounding of our wombs, otherwise known as women. I can't go for that. I can't go for that. And so on today, in Women's History Month, even, I'm going to say this last point and I'm out. Even black women who helped in women's suffrage, black women that helped in women's suffrage for white women's right to vote, those same black women that helped in women's suffrage still could not vote. Even when black men could vote, black women who helped in women's right suffrage, those white women were allowed to vote, but the black women were still not allowed to vote. Something wrong with that. And if you think that's okay, I want you to search your heart. If you think that is God, I want you to search your heart. If you think that's what the Spirit is saying to the church, I want you to search your heart. If you think that's the way society should be set up, I want you to search your heart. The word of the day was patriarchy. I hope this helped you. Some of y'all gonna have to chew on it, come back and deal with it a little bit later, because for you in its present form, it may have been a little too much for you, but that's all right. Like I say, treat it like a cow chewing its cud. Come on back to it, because baby, I guarantee you, it'll help you if you let it. Well, I feel for my brother. And I feel for my sister. This has been another edition of Yes You, oh cute, one-on-one, just me and you. Yes, my word for today was patriarchy. And I hope y'all were able to take it and take it for what it is. Because listen, I gave you this today, no cream, no sugar. I took this coffee and gave it to you strong and black. Because I told you like it T-I-Z-Tiz. So you take that word of the day of patriarchy and you think on it. This is your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman, and I want you to follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, Twitter, Twitch, Anchor, and more. I'm out there, y'all. I'm out there. I want y'all to come and check me out and follow me in all those different places. As my friend Rhonda Royal says, if you don't deal with it, it will deal with you. And don't just, even this word that I said on today of patriarchy, for those of us that understand, this must change. Don't just be silent. Don't just be quiet. I need you to be the change. I need you to speak the change. I need you to talk the change. I need you to insist on the change, because it must happen. And at the end of the day, it's us, you, me, we all. I see you, Aguna Badger. So much love to you, man. Yes, this pride is relentless, and you're going to hear us roar. I love you. Yes, I do. And at the end of the day, I always want to encourage you and say, peace for your journey.
Can you hear me? Life is real, yeah. And if there's a heaven above, please start showing a brother real love. 'Cause I wanna go home. I feel for my brother. I miss you, man. Oh, I feel for my brother. You're my brother.